We're so structured now.
So
Actually, we're
structured.
super structured, bro. You're not even gonna believe it.
Nice. What's the topic today?
Oh, before we even get to the topic, me and Josh have a surprise for you guys.
Okay.
No, no more mooning.
I'm gonna share it in
It's mooning,
the
but from the
chat.
front.
So it's gonna take a little second to upload. Me and Josh made a promo for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Like a 1-minute promo.
You want to share your
wow.
screen? And
It was a
show
team effort. I overreached as usual because I have no chill. Oh.
I scribbled out some words as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, so I made a little script and I just recorded it and sent it to Josh. And then Josh did thumbnails. And I kept in some of his thumbnails because they were perfect, like no notes. And I replaced some with
No notes.
live action, some with like some stop motion stuff. Like it's loading.
Cool.
So you guys can see.
That sounds like fun.
Let's say you still on 56K dial-up? Holy crap.
Is it being bad?
Well, it ain't being
Where
good.
are you uploading it?
To the chat.
Oh.
Probably once it's done uploading, it'll be fine.
Maybe, yeah.
We do have a topic this week, though.
What is it?
Woo! In the meantime, well, we started a whole new channel while you were gone and got that on the go and put a bunch of videos on it. It's going super well. We have 64 subscribers.
Wow, that's 64
65.
more.
65
more than before.
Yeah.
We're famous now. It's too late. It's going to my head.
Yeah. Just all the way to the top, guys. So we had a commenter from someone named Runello. So if you're not following them, they do these cute little stop motion things out of like little contraptions with like little cutesy stuff. So adorable. So I'm going to put them in the description so that people can find their stuff. It says a bit of, I got to put on my old lady reading glasses because
bigger glasses.
I'm 40 plus.
Holy, talk about call the midwife. Wow.
I want to see everything. I don't like when I have to like move my head like a fucking owl. Good God, I want the biggest glasses. If I could get a dome.
You're not allowed in the sun with those things.
Like one big glass.
I'm not allowed in the sun anyway. I'm
glass.
Irish. I'm just bursting.
Oh yeah,
the
that's true.
Okay, so
yeah,
a bit of a long comment.
Call. They want their glasses back.
Okay.
Anyway,
I love it. I'm in my
go...
crone era, Scott. Don't test me this week.
or ever.
I'm gonna read it for the love of God. Okay, a bit of a long comment with some feedback. I had this podcast playing in the background while I was editing. I noticed I listened more intently when Scott brought up world building advice. So tonight's topic is going to be world building. And this is as well as near the end when the discussion was more about early animation studios and fostering of young animators. So it goes on from there. Super cute. I posted on screen so if anybody wants to read the whole thing. But that's how we got our topic of today.
World building.
Yeah. Oh, it's taking forever to upload.
It is. Okay.
It's my Newfoundland dial-up, guys.
I can kind of see it like spinning. Look at it go.
It's
fine. Doing it.
We can look at world building. I think all of us have really different point of views on world building. Because my number one like place where my brain spends is like world building for a production. So it's like ruthless decision making. You can't dilly-dally and kind of wishy-wash and stuff like that if you have like 3 days to like finish, like to put something together really fast. Whereas on like a personal project, I am the most self-indulgent writer because there's no stakes. Like if I never finish this project, nothing bad will happen. So my world building in that, like I have proper world building disease when it comes to my personal project writing stuff.
Yeah, mine is more deliberately very, very practical, very considered, very production oriented. For at least for the Phoebe pilot, the book is a different story, but there's differences, and it's the ideas that kind of inform the choices you make to some extent, as well as what limitations of story you want to get into.
Yeah, like scope is a big thing. Goals is a big thing.
Yeah,
what about you guys, Josh and Brian?
Uh, yeah, just do whatever's good for the project. So if your characters are in our current world and they have an opposing force, maybe look at the opposing forces in our current world that are like quite scary and write about that. Maybe
No, I'm asking
you
what
can
your
also
point
use
of view is.
allegories
On world blah,
on world building in
on
general.
Yeah,
world
just
building
kind of like,
in
yeah, and
general.
world building. Like, where is it you kind of think? Like, are you making comics right now? Or are you working on?
Yeah, yeah. So it's just so again, like I kind of build for the story. So it's like whatever is the story needs gets built.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm not thinking about like every little minutia like
Oh, you're not writing encyclopedia.
yeah, like where's
Present.
their food production come from? Where do they get like,
I have that.
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's but personally I prefer to focus on the plot and character and I like to build around that. Just because like if you can get lost in world building for
Hmm.
years and it's not going to do you any favors. It's just going to drive you. It's just going to give you an encyclopedia to constantly double check and procrastinate on the main meat and potatoes of what you're trying to do. So it's
It all
important to get it down and move forward.
it also depends on the project. I mean, comic books versus novels versus TV show versus movie. I mean, they're all going to have different requirements. A movie is a 2 hour short story essentially, so it doesn't need to go that deep. But a TV show
Hmm.
may potentially run for 10 years, so you might want to have a little bit more than just one season planned.
Well,
Whereas,
even like a movie where it's like a short story, like you can think about all those smaller details and have those things come out visually on the characters. Like a Mad Max, it's like okay, like all the stuff is borrowed and recreated and repurposed from old world stuff. So it's like, they're using like safety like seat belts for like, gun holsters and or like, just whatever you can think of. So you can have like lots of fun with it visually, but if you find you're just world building and it's getting in the way of actually telling a story, then
Present.
yeah,
well,
people are I don't know if they're going to stick around
let's
for it. I don't know.
let's focus on that. Let's take a look at movies, for example. Movies are a good example since you brought it up, Josh. I mean, you look at and I'm familiar with some of this stuff because I've read a lot of the backgrounds behind the production design and things like that. And a lot of times, the writer will create the script, have the basic concept. It's very gritty, very reuse whatever is necessary. Scavenge and stuff like that. But the production designers are the ones who often create the huge scope that goes beyond. They'll put in little things in the background. They'll put in labels. They'll use bits and pieces. They'll scavenge from junkyards or thrift shops, whatever else like that. And they'll go to great lengths. I mean, if you read some of the stuff from the prop designers, they'll have entire stories about this prop that's on screen for 3.5 seconds. And but and no one knows this until something comes out in a book or whatever else later, or a convention, or you get the guy shit faced at a bar or whatever, and then you find out that there's a whole story behind this set of goggles or something. Because I actually have a set of goggles that was actually from something or other, and
What was it
um
from?
I can't actually can't remember. That's why I said something or other. Thanks, Josh. No, my
The salesman was like, "These goggles, let
no,
me
no,
tell
no,
you, Scott." And you were like, "I'm
they're
enthralled."
not the production goggles. They were the ones that were
Let me
based
tell you.
upon
You ever hear
on
of
some
Johnny
movie.
Batman?
The guy, and
Uh-oh.
it might have been Mad Max, but anyway, but they were never actually used. They were ended up being resold anyway. My producer got one for me for Christmas one year. But anyway, but the point is that there was stories behind where these bits and pieces came from, based upon the stuff that was scavenged, right? And then they'll just elaborate on that, for example. And that's not an uncommon thing where one idea just spreads out and generates 47 others. And you let your people go to town, but the writer doesn't always have that in mind, you know?
Yeah, I think scope is really important when you're a writer, because if you're writing for yourself
Hmm.
and you write all these like super specific things that you need to have in there, you're shooting yourself in the foot right from the get-go. But if you know it's just you and your one buddy Steve and a camera, then like it doesn't make sense to build this like epic fantasy story out of this world story, right? because you'll like this time you spend trying to get stuff up off the ground, that you could have made 1 or 2 little videos. Like if your goal is to become a filmmaker, it's more important to make some little films that you can make out of the stuff in this room, even like really just tighten up what you're allowed to do, and that'll like kind of keep you constrained. Because like if we're looking at indie animator or like indie creators, like getting things off the ground is a great way to start building your own momentum, to feel like, you know, you're starting to head in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. Movies have a limited scope in terms of timeline. I mean, a lot of movies, of course, that are on a certain budget tend to be built into this world. In other words, you're using, you know, if it's McDonald's, it's McDonald's. If it's a city, it's a city. It's kind of thing. They don't have to rebuild the world because they already exist. Whereas if you're building something in a fantasy or sci-fi or alternate reality or alternate history world, then you have to start thinking, you know, how do these things affect things, and how do people react? How do people dress? How do people, again, you know, what kind of foods do they eat and so forth like that? There's a lot of scope into these things that, as much as you know, people are not as concerned about certain things, holy crap, if something seems off, people scream bloody murder real fast, you know, or are taken out of, you know, the movie
Are you talking about
itself.
the audience?
Well, the audience, yeah. I mean, if you're watching a show and something really does not seem right. I was watching something the other night, and like one of the Boys episodes, one of the early Boys episodes, and something did not seem right, and it turned out it was, you know, whatever I was looking up was right. It was like, okay, this was, you know, a goof or whatever else. It wasn't realistic. Who cares? I mean, obviously somebody didn't give a shit about it in terms of the production, but, you know, carried the story forward. But it threw me off because it just was such a glaring error. And that's happened.
Well, if you're looking at somebody who's, like I said, never made anything before,
Hmm.
like worrying about what the audience is going to think about whether or not you have like that set dressing like perfectly lined up shot to shot, like I feel like, you know, like it's different if you're like in the production, like a real like studio production, and you're expected to work up to a professional standard. Absolutely, you should be aware of the standards and things to look out for. And like there are people who dedicate their entire like you said, stage, the people who are actually decorating the set and stuff, who like can really dive in. But if it's just you and your camera and your buddy Steve,
well, I mean,
give yourself a little bit of leeway. Give yourself
there's
some
a little
grace.
bit of leeway. I mean, there's a classic one in Star Trek Wrath of Khan, wherein Kirk has a handprint on his shirt from where Scotty's nephew said, you know, he dies and so forth like that. And then there were 2 or 3 different shots of which the hand size goes from huge to little tiny thing, and then huge again.
Well, that's not world building. That's continuity.
No, that's continuity. That's absolutely right. But I mean, it's one of those things that
off topic.
well, it is a little off topic in that sense, but there
We'll
are
get back on topic.
but the point is, it's something that's very noticeable. That was the point. Is that if you have something in your world building that is glaringly, you know, anachronistic or just simply does not fit in that particular way or whatever, it can really throw the audience. I've watched a number of horror movies over the years.
Before you take off again, because you were almost landed there, you were really close, and then you like going up again.
Anyway,
but I think that like kind of rehashes the idea of keeping it really simple, because if you don't have complicated costumes, you don't have complicated plots, that's less stuff that's going to get in a tangle. So I did manage to upload the surprise to YouTube. So
oh, good Lord.
You and Brian can watch it.
You somehow got Joe Rogan on here? I don't know how that happened. Why?
We did it.
I'm not going to watch the damn
Scott. We're a famous podcast.
For the are you putting the video right here? Are you gonna?
Yeah, I should share your screen.
You share the screen because you're reacting to it.
Oh, do you want me to share the screen? I can share the screen, I think. Let me see.
Brian can tell us about his like motorcycle.
Hold on.
Lots of world building at the motorcycle track. They got like gas. They got tires.
Okay, I've got the screen
so much
up.
set dressing. They got those little zip up. Do you have a little zip up jumpsuit for when you're riding your motorcycle?
Brian, you're gonna have to
not quite.
You're gonna have to follow the request there if I'm gonna show this.
Yeah, no, this topic of world building
No, share screen sharing for the video.
Scott needs.
I already
you need
said yes.
permission?
No, didn't come
I
up.
already said accept.
Oh, there it goes.
Well-oiled
Well,
machine.
it doesn't give me a notice. Frig.
There
we go.
Why you oughta?
I need to share sound. Hold on now. Hold on.
He's our IT guy.
The screen is like flames. Earth.
Yeah, but it doesn't share sound by default, so you have to go in and make sure you click the frickin' button.
I'll make sure that instrument sound.
So should I comment? Should I wait to comment on world?
Okay.
No,
world
you can
building?
both react.
Okay. Anyway. Okay.
In any way you seem appropriate. If you need
The animation industry was burning down around me. My friends were leaving the industry. Jobs were getting canceled. I didn't know what to do. So I asked myself, if I was a confident white dude, what would I do to save the animation
What is it
industry?
with you and white dudes?
My conclusion? Start a podcast. Luckily, I was in a writer's room in rural Nova Scotia, and it was all white dudes. So I sent out the call. And 3 joined in. I figure
Oh, no.
if one white dude with a podcast makes a lot of money, 3 white dudes in a podcast must be tons of money. We can use that money to make jobs and save the animation industry. It can't fail.
Right. Okay.
Do you
I-
like it?
I love the music soundtrack. The meow 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 in the background.
That's the song that my son sings. My son sings, and the horn was he.
Yeah.
My kid had the wrapping paper tube, and he just
Oh,
goes
yeah.
around the house just like. I'm like, can you do that
Yeah.
for this? He's like, yeah. And he helped me record it, and we did all the sound effects. Like, is a
It's a
triangle
family
for the
business. It's a family
Yep.
business.
There we go.
monetize your child,
Yes.
save the animation industry.
Have lots of kids and put them on the old social media farm.
Oh,
You like
That's
it, Scott?
awesome.
it's very good. Very good.
Come on,
I love
kids,
it.
till those views.
So we're just gonna post. I don't know what a good time to post it is. Like probably 3 o'clock or something.
That's
And we're
only
gonna
when the
see
white
it.
dudes. That's when
We
the old
take
white
a-
dudes wake up from their nap, isn't it? Right? That's what you're trying to
Well,
say.
the whole
Jeez.
idea for the podcast
Fuck,
came because
racist or what? Anyway,
the whole
Racist.
idea was because I was in a room full of white dudes for the first time since I was about 20 years old. I grew up; it was all white people. Moved away to Toronto, and it was very multicultural. So like the vibe of the room was always very diverse. And then I moved to Nova Scotia, and like once Sarah left, it was just me and white dudes, and I was like, man, Podcast Central, this room is just money.
what? I don't know where you've been talking to with it. Not all white dudes have money. Let me tell you that. I can
I
give
Take
you
know.
my
that.
white mediocreness
I'm
out of
married
this.
to a white
Jeez.
dude, and we're
We're-
not rolling in no money.
I'm barely one step beyond trailer trash. I'm not even sure about that much.
Listen,
half
once
of
I
that.
get a dumb idea in my head, I have to keep going.
That explains a
World
lot,
building.
actually.
And now we're world building together.
Now we're world
World
building. Anyway, go
building
ahead, Brian.
together.
What was your comment?
If you're talking about world building as far as like the definition of the word, which is
And he's frozen. Okay.
creating a fictional world,
Mm-hmm.
then there isn't too much detail you can get into.
I beg to differ.
There isn't too much as in like the back end of things, but on the front end that actually shows up on screen, that's a whole different thing. Mind you, everything else
Yeah.
can be flavored.
The rabbit
Sure.
holes that I can go down, like if you have fire mages, like people who can just like make fire on command, like do people need lighters? Are they magic lighters? Everything using magic crystals. Now you're buying magic crystal lighters? They have the power of electricity. Oh my god, how are they powering their buildings? Are they using the crystals from the like depths of the earth to like use? Do they have unlimited power because the earth generates electricity?
It's very important
I
you have
have-
your characters stop and
I've
say all
designed
this.
But no,
lamps,
so here's the thing:
like
every story
cars.
needs its. This leads into something else that I feel more strongly about, which is every story needs its own internal logic. Whatever that logic is, it has to be consistent.
Yes.
Hmm.
So you can use that to cull how much detail you put into your world building, because that internal logic is actually more important than every single little detail thought through, because that's what the audience will react to. The audience will react to, wait, that doesn't make sense, because if they can make fire by doing this, why would a lighter exist? Except for the people who can't make fire. You know, like,
are there people who can't make fire? I mean, that's important.
Well, then when the people who can't make fire invent lighters, is there an uprising? Let me just write the entire history of this planet right back to the Stone Age.
Well,
but it needs to be relevant to the story and be interesting.
Well, since she's haunted by her ancestors, I have an excuse for everything, Brian. They were there.
I mean, I've got a supernatural story that is in the same sense of the logic is there, but you know, magic is there, supernatural is there, but it's very grounded in that it's just a power source, right? Is simply just one more power source, like electricity or electromagnetism or anything else, cosmic rays, x-rays, whatever, light. It's simply a power source that if you don't go to the process of, you know, harnessing it, you don't have access to it, except for a few people, which pisses off the rest of it. So there's a bit of a not everyone's happy about
how
that.
How scarce is the resource?
That's exactly. Really big
plot thing to like build around. If only a few people
is it
have
restricted?
something.
Is it? You know, is there you know, some sort of
legislation?
Legislation restrictions. Is there some sort of hatred towards those? You know, some sort of bias or racism, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, anything like that that actually builds into it, but it also, in my case, informs the story. Like I've got in my story, there's cop departments, and for the longest time, the classic police department had control over everything. But recently, they've had to become, you know, kinder, gentler, and set aside an actual department that deals with magic. But this is actually based upon, you know, real life changes. Of course, the world we live in has taken it upon himself to, as opposed to simply having a cop show up every time someone's mentally disturbed, they bring in a psychologist, or they bring in somebody who actually can deal with somebody who has mental issues, as opposed to the cops just showing up and, you know, shooting somebody. You know, things like that.
But that's the best part.
Oh, but the point is,
there are some shows that are doing a really good job of kind of modeling a more perfect society, like The Pit, because Brian recommended The Pit to me, and I watched that. And first, one of the most interesting things I heard about them building the sets of The Pit, like it's basically a hospital. All that's real equipment. Like they just bought like used equipment and set it all up. And they actually have people like medical companies who are like putting forth new devices have been featured on The Pit so that like more ERs can learn about it and stuff, like super interesting stuff. Yeah. But one of the interestingest detail was that there's no music in the entire show. It's just the sounds of the ER and the beeps and the people talking and that kind of stuff, but there's no music. And it didn't occur to me at all when I was watching it. I didn't notice.
or miss it, right?
Yeah.
Same
like
thing.
It had such a dynamic. I don't get drawn in easily, but the characters in that show and like just like the pacing of it and stuff, and
so that's what I would consider that part of world building too. That those choices. Like I was just thinking. There's a movie that I saw recently, Gunpowder Milkshake. Have you seen that? It's a highly
never heard of it.
Movie. I think you just make these names up, but whatever. Anyway,
it's got Karen Gillan in it. You know, the woman who played
Karen Gillan. Okay, yeah.
In Doctor Who, and she's,
yeah. Karen Gillan. Nebula.
Yeah, Nebula.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Trivia. Yeah.
So it has a very similar feel to the John Wick series. Like it has a very similar kind of plot line and feel to it, but it doesn't feel like the real world. It has its own internal logic, and same thing with John Wick doesn't seem like the real world either, right? They have this hotel that things take place at where it's neutral ground, nobody can shoot each other. Like there's its own internal logic to it, right? So I think to me, world building is not exclusive to science fiction or fantasy or otherworldly things.
No, God no.
It's really about having a storyline that has its own internal logic and creates the sense of a different place that isn't necessarily in the real world in a way that's believable, which means it has to have enough real world details in it that makes people recognize it, and enough interesting things in it that makes you go, oh, that's cool. I didn't think of that before.
Mm.
You know, an excellent resource for world building is a website, tvtropes.org.
And I like
it breaks down just about every trope you can imagine. So if you're ever lost, just go there and read around.
Yeah, but that is horribly
I love
depressing.
it.
It's depressing?
It is depressing. Oh, yeah.
My goal with my story is to include every trope in the urban fantasy genre.
Well,
All of them.
Yeah. But like, you can incorporate other tropes from other different places. You can read about them and flip the tropes on their head. You can be like, all right, this is most urban fantasies, like, you know, they always have this or this.
Oh, you wake up from a dream. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. Like, there's so many tropes.
But there's so many variations.
It's like, oh, they can only do magic if they're chugging ketchup. Sorry, that's the way it works. And then all of a sudden you have a disgusting show.
The problem with having a lot of that stuff just laid out in a chart is you have that exact thing where, okay, here's the trope. Okay, I won't do that. I'll reverse that. And then you just go down the chart and there it is. Here's all the same tropes reversed, you know, and it's one of the things where.
So, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, it's just it's like a tool to sort of help you along. It's showing we've had hundreds of years of storytelling, and this just kind of lists them out.
So structure is key. Structure is key to storytelling. Even if it's a trope that's been around 1,000 times, if you flip it on its head, just keep it structured within that trope.
This is just
that's what I was kind of driving at, is that every time you actually come up with a concept, if you actually took the time to verify that you've got something a little bit different, I can almost guarantee you 99% of the time you have it. It's been
the only thing that's really different is coming out of your coming out of your voice.
That's why I said don't look at this stuff. Just do your thing.
Why the negativity about it? Why the negativity about it?
That's the whole point. Don't look at those shit. Just go do your story. That's my point.
That's building the wheel.
No, I just
it's the complete opposite.
Don't friggin' just look at the friggin' Lego chart. No.
Research.
Seriously, write your story. That's your voice and everything else like that.
The guy that
not worry if it's been done.
The guy does Hellboy. No, Mike Mignola does the Hellboy comics. A lot of those stories are from old turn of the century ghost stories from like the 18th and 19th century.
Oh, look at all the Disney stuff. Just straight out of fairy tales.
That's not necessarily endorsement. That means you just verified that the actual Disney reboots of all this other crap that's going on is perfectly fine. Because
it is fine. It just doesn't exist in my world.
All the stuff again.
I think in my world, those things don't exist. They belong to somebody else. But here's the thing. Again, go back to the scope and go back to who's making the thing. If this is a guy and his friend Steve, and they don't want to be writers, they want to be filmmakers, it doesn't make sense to start over from scratch. Make Three Little Pigs with your friend Steve, because you're looking at shots and camera direction and all this stuff and blah blah blah. That's the stuff you want to learn. You don't want to learn to be a writer. You're going to hire the writer when you have so much money.
And the biggest mistake new writers make is they think that if they wrote it, then that's good enough. Like, it's their creativity. They wrote something, and because they wrote it down, then it should happen, instead of everything being structured so that it flows naturally from the characters and the situation. That's the rule. There are certain rules to writing that writers, if you just sit down and just write something, the chances of it coming out with a proper structure that will actually be watchable drops dramatically. But if you start with a structure,
go that way. Some people go from structure to.
I think you should have a chat with some of the horror writers
other
out there. Holy crap!
Are pantsers. They like to go by the seat of their pants. They don't want to do any research ahead of time because they want that just like raw mess, and then they take that mess and refine it. And either way can get you to something that has a world built into it, but you can't build a world without spending the time thinking about what the world is. Even if it's a burger shop. A burger shop has little cardboard cartons for their fries.
Yeah, all writers do research on some level. They either do it through past stories, through current events, through historic events. Nothing's created in a bubble. even if you think you're creating in a bubble, you're not. You are creating through the influences that you've grown up with, through your childhood, through the world you're living in now. So it's like you can. What Disney does is they take everything, they take the old fairy tales and they just axe the really negative ending of the stories. Where, oh, the little mermaid gets turned into sushi for. You know.
I think all those old guys were just really more, like they were really focused on the craft of animation itself. So like, oh, if we do Cinderella, everybody's heard of Cinderella. Let's just do that, right?
Yeah. They smoking their cigars and
but they came up with absolutely Milk Call. You know, he's just like right. But they came out with like something that they were all really proud of, and they had something to show for it. So there's lots of ways to go around the same.
I got to make a picture for less than $10,000.
Yeah, my point is about doing research on what has been done before is a fool's errand, because it's all been done before. So
it's not really a fool's errand. It's just
not a fool's errand.
It's education.
Oh, it has.
It's research.
It has. Yeah, the point is, even if it's not there, it's somewhere else, and that's the one thing you run into is someone saying, "Oh, I've seen that in that chocolate milkshake or whatever it is that you just found. That's been done before." The point is that it's even if you don't know it, even if it's not.
But here's the thing: if everything's been done before, then you shouldn't feel bad that it's been done before, because that's
my
everybody.
Point is, don't go bothering to
it?
research the damn thing and finding it. Just go write your fucking story.
What if you need
most really
inspiration?
good writers would say, steal from the best people. Like,
so that's the best advice I've heard is steal more.
No, the best thing.
If you steal one thing, that's plagiarism. If you steal
good writers copy
a little bit of everything you love,
there would be no Star Trek if there was no Flash Gordon, and there'd be no Flash Gordon if there was no westerns. There would be no westerns if there wasn't
samurai movies.
Yeah, samurai movies.
You go all the way back.
Or maybe just people moving out west, or people migrating, or nomads, or Genghis Khan. Yeah, I got it. It goes back a long ways.
We're just trying to talk about world building, and you're like upset about Genghis Khan. I don't understand how we keep getting here.
It always comes back to Genghis Khan.
Tracy, you've been hanging out long enough. Try to keep up there. I know you're getting old, but
I'm not keeping up with a fucking horseshit merry-go-round. You've lost the fucking plot. We're supposed to be talking about world building.
You're just behind. You're back on the wagon train. Holy shit.
You can't get upset when everybody can't follow your old man ramblings. You have to just join the three other people in the room.
Crick area. No.
There's four people. If three of us are trying to get on world building, and you're talking about Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, go write your story.
It sounds like you're saying that you can't look at other people's work to come up with something original, which is not true.
Not can't.
One of the best.
Don't worry about it.
Do whatever you want. The world
do whatever you want.
You're making a fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
What I just said.
Writing practice is to take an old story. Take something like the Three Little Pigs and rewrite it. Try to make it fucking weird. Take the Three Little Pigs, turn them into guys that owe the mafia money, and there's a mafia guy after them. It's the exact same structure. Like one guy has to escape to the next guy, has to escape to the next guy.
Those would be sweet gangster names. Like this is the straw man, that's the stick man, and that's the brick.
It's me, Straw Man.
Hey,
Guarantee if you look far enough, you probably find it's already been
call
written.
me Straw Man because my bones are brittle like straw.
Present.
You just spawned 47 different, copies of this thing. Good job.
Anybody wants these ideas, you take them and you run and you tell us all about it.
Well, you need to continue on beyond movies and sort of like that, beyond world building. You got to get into characters and stuff like that too.
Well, that's a whole different topic. Character development. Different topic.
Very different.
Well, it's like
world building. I mean, you can think about
blah 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 and all that.
Your
right?
characters have to fit into the world as well. So, in a lot of ways, the characteristics of the character have to be not so much the journey, perhaps, but their actual how they act, how they behave, how they see things. Are they, this, that, the other thing? That's part of the world building because they have to be informed by the world building. Otherwise, they stick out like a sore thumb. They have to kind of fit within that world and then break out of that world so they can go off on their hero's journey or whatever
However, there's really great stories where the character in that world is
of course you don't.
Like a sore thumb. Army of Darkness.
Oh, Fish Out of
Bruce
Water.
Campbell's character, Fish Out of Water characters. They're great. Like,
but
Army
he
of Darkness
wasn't
is
that
fantastic.
much of a fish out of the water. He was a rebel.
He was
hanging out with a bunch of other rebels.
Future. He taught them karate.
Yeah, he was basically a caveman for the crying. That was the whole point. He was hilariously friggin' primitive.
He fit within the culture. He was friggin' behind them when he went back into the Middle Ages.
Well, that was the joke. Like he's like, he's not that different, but
give
still,
me some sugar, baby. That's he was. This is my boomstick. I remember. I've seen that movie dozens of times. It's a great movie.
Has good world building.
That's well.
All I'm saying is like sometimes making your character not fit the world that they're in is a great plot device, and it will drive interest in your story. Like that's
Stranger in a Strange Land. They've got a word.
Well, a lot of stories are.
I don't know
if you look at fairy tales, there are characters who don't belong. I mean, just look at Tangled. Like she doesn't want to be locked up in a tower. She doesn't fit in the place where she is, even though like aesthetically it makes sense, like visually it makes sense, but emotionally she feels very trapped.
Yeah.
So having an isolated tower and like way out in the wilderness is a very effective built world.
Brian, you had something. You were going against what I was saying. Go ahead, finish your thought.
Every single character, every single person is made up of the same spectrum of characteristics. So it's not that they have to fit into the world. You have to decide what their motivations are, what their fears are, and what their goals are. That's the key thing to designing a character. And then how they talk, how they behave, that might be influenced by the world. Like if everyone has if everyone speaks in Old English, then they have to speak in Old English too.
To some extent, their motivation has to come from the world as well. They see a lot of injustice, they fight against injustice. There are things like that. That's
their moral compass. Their whether they have a mental disorder, like all of those things are
the best
the same
advice
spectrum
for characters
of story
that I ever got was find out what your character wants versus what they need.
Yeah.
And then that will give you a proper character arc. So what they want might not necessarily equal what they needed.
Yeah.
Usually never does.
What's their motivation?
Yeah.
What's their goals? Yeah. Yeah. What their want is, and then what their need is can be in conflict with what their want is, and that can even be very interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it works every time. It's like the
tension within themselves. Yeah.
It's the little secret spice to the sauce.
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter what type of story it is. It doesn't matter what kind of story it is. That has to be true with every single character in every story. That has to have that has to be defined for that character.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to write without it.
Yeah.
Be impossible.
Well,
like what would you be writing? A series of events.
Rocks.
Yeah.
I have a few books that are just a series of events. They're terrible.
and that's why I say that character action and reaction and comes out of the character's nature. So the thing that makes them consistent is if they're consistent in their belief system, who they are, then you're writing for that gives that character a unique voice. And if you have a bunch of lines in a let's say a scene of dialogue, and you can easily interchange who says what line, then you haven't done a good enough job. Then you haven't done a good enough job.
See if you can cut that one, Tracy.
At making each character have their own voice, at defining who those characters are, because everybody should have a line that comes out of their mouth that makes sense for them and unique to them.
There's
Yeah, shut up, Doug.
Well, that's kind of fun. I read an IGN headline. Not the article. I was too lazy to read the entire article, but they said like Disney's having a lot of trouble getting Star Wars or like kids that are, younger, like Gen Alpha, Gen Z. They're having trouble getting those guys interested in Star Wars. They spent billions on it. Now they're like, hey, they don't like it.
Honestly,
it's not made for them.
No,
it's made for...
it's a 50-year-old franchise, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, they're just making them now because they're down to like break even on it.
Well,
so they just keep making them. And it's like, also, does anybody love this anymore? Is there anybody who's like really invested in this at all? Like,
no, it's the problem is I find is that if you look at some of the more interesting offshoots of Star Wars, like Rogue One, or even some of the fan-based films, they're far more interesting because you have the people who want to go into the depth of the world, but Disney just wants to say, hey, stormtroopers, bang, 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 pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like,
boom, blow things up, done.
explosion
Terrible.
films over the past like 10 years.
Luke Skywalker, it's like fuck off. It's like I don't care. They
You
have
seem to care. You have a lot of enthusiasm for someone who doesn't care about this.
Because the problem is they screwed it up.
You know what I love about Star Wars?
As soon as they brought in the world building Ewoks, that's what it was. It was the
world building in Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It is really good, but that's just it. Is that as soon as in the original Return of the Jedi, they were going to have Wookiees, not Ewoks. But someone said Ewoks are cuter. They'll make more money as far as toys. You make more money off toys. Let's put in fucking Ewoks. It's been downhill since 1983. That's all there's to it. I'm not wrong.
World building.
Did you ever watch the Ewok and Droid Hour, the animated series?
Oh my
Ewoks
God.
and Droids?
I refer you back to the Star Wars Christmas special. No. The holiday special. That is where things really went sideways.
Star Wars bros are at it.
Oh my God.
I think it's really interesting the difference between the Star Wars and Star Trek in terms of world building.
Don't get me wrong, Star Trek fucked things up too.
Like if you look at the just the aesthetics of the environment, the literal world of it, how Star Wars has so much more of a gritty, mechanical, grounded feel, whereas Star Trek is all bulkheads and mirrors and everything's projected now. It's not even like a surface.
Star Wars
super
never
realistic,
found a goddamn broom.
super clean.
That's all there is to it.
And that's really cool. I like that they are different. It says a lot about the type of world that they live in. Somebody who lives in a clean, safe environment, different than a scary pirate environment.
I will say, in defense of the Star Wars holiday special, it was aimed at children. They need to take this stuff.
More on children who are complete idiots.
Listen, idiot children need love too, Scott. Why would you bully stupid children? They're disabled.
Have you not watched Baby Shark yet? I mean, come on.
Fuck you.
Star Wars just needs Baby Shark. And they need to film everything in vertical format so kids watch everything on their phone. So they just need everything in vertical format. They need Baby Shark, and they need.
Everyone's out there trying to make a buck. That's what it comes down to.
Things change, right? People consume things differently. So if you have a restaurant and people are no longer eating off of plates, they're eating out of cones. You're going to have to eventually decide. Well, nobody eats off of plates anymore. They think it's stupid.
Yeah, but are they eating not off of plates because it's trendy or because it's, hey, this is actually more practical to go to a cone? I mean, there's some people who follow a trend.
It doesn't matter. The truth is, it doesn't matter.
Oh, no, it does matter in one way. It's like switch back. Eventually, it's like, oh, this was a dumb idea.
No, they might.
This is fucking Brian guy to come up with these goddamn ideas.
That would be funny if it was just like an Aristoc, if it was just a trendy thing and some rich person started a trend where I only eat out of cones now, and everybody just started copying them, and they were just manic. And they were like, oh my God, I can't believe what happened last night when I did all that cocaine. Everybody's eating out of fucking ice cream cones. What have I done?
It's like the old joke of somebody walking down New York street, looking up at a building and starts staring and pointing. Everyone stands around and starts staring and pointing upwards. I mean, that's the old joke. It's not entirely wrong. Yeah, it has happened.
I know people who do that for fun. They park next to the ocean and they just look out and they just wait and they just count. That's what they do. They got nothing else to do. They're retired.
They just point and say, hey, there's a goddamn, something out there. And next thing you know, there's 27 people say, yeah, I see something. There's nothing out there. They're just idiots who are following
That's how you
the
get
trend.
people eat out of cones. You point at the cone and be like, this is what we should be eating out of now. And you
spaghetti
wait 20
cones.
minutes. Yeah, you point at
sometimes it doesn't matter.
Why is it zooming in on his?
I have no idea.
Bye, Scott.
Even your camera.
It's like you were leaving. It's like
it's got an automatic. Sorry, I'm out of here. That's called Zoom. That's called Zoom for you. Yeah, it has an automatic, keep you centered in the actual frame thing.
Or your chair just decided to take you out of the room. Like, nah, we've had enough of you.
Wow. How's the 3D, man? If you're stoned right now, this is not you.
Oh my God. If you're in the comments, please let us know if you're stoned. I want to know how many stoned people are out there watching this stuff.
Just a winky face is all we need.
Whoa.
Yeah. Just 420 and like 50 winky faces.
I think this is going really well.
This is going so well.
We are so close to being on track and we're on the cusp,
so close.
guys.
All right. Let's loop it back. We talked
a little bit about world building. We talked a little bit about characters. In terms of the world building aesthetic, I mean, Brian was going on about the internal logic and stuff like that. There's got to be something in regards to the way the whole thing is projected into the future, especially if you're dealing with things that are like series or books that have a potential thing.
What do you mean projected into the future?
Like if you're going to say, okay, well, because movies obviously, they're one and done kind of thing in a lot of cases. But if you're projecting a series, you have to build in certain elements that are going to be answered the questions later. You have certain aspects of it that you don't plan to actually deal with necessarily in the first episode or second, but at some point down the road, you may want to come back and revisit this. How much of the backstory, how much of the history, how many Easter eggs or red herrings or whatever else do you implant in those initial stories because you have the idea of going to deal with them? Because, and I'll tell you why this is important, because I have seen so many fucking shows that ran out of ideas by the third season that it's like, okay, I know you're bullshitting right now. You're just making it up as you go along. And it can be seen very plainly because you had a 1 or 2 season plan and that's it. What do we do now? We got renewed. Oh, shit. We wanted to get renewed. Yeah, but did you have an idea? No, fuck no. We had no idea.
I think if you're building up those expectations on yourself so early on, I think you're going to end up like hurting yourself.
Well, it's a responsibility, isn't it, to actually have an idea
we're talking to indie people. It's like a guy and his friend Steve, and it's just 2 of them, and they just want to make something to finish it as an indie project and put it online. Like, they don't need to think 8 and 10 and 15. It's like the scope thing, right? If you know you're making a series, like you're making a series for television, it makes sense for you. But it doesn't make sense in a general capacity, and it doesn't make sense for indie animators who are making their first project to worry about the Emmy speech. Calm down. Pump the brakes.
But if you actually have an idea, you have an idea that you can put in something that allows you to kind of continue the thread. What if, because God forbid something becomes successful, then you have to do another one. Oh my God, that is such a rare.
That's a great problem to have. I would be delighted if that was a problem I found myself having if I finished something at all.
But look, I mean, years ago, I dealt with journalism, and I talked to a number of musicians, and they said, you've got your lifetime to write your first album and 6 months to write your second. And that's a problem, because that's why a lot of bands have that sophomore failure, because they haven't actually planned to continue beyond. It's like, we want to get that first album. We just got to get that first thing done. Oh, yeah, shit, we did it.
Tons of cocaine.
Okay, that was the 80s. That's another
story.
You
do your first album.
You're fear-mongering, Scott. Why are you fear-mongering?
I'm that's experience mongering, because I've seen it happen.
I don't know if it's something. I don't think it's something you need to
spend a huge amount. No, not a huge amount of time.
I think it's more like it's more like if you're inspired to build a 5-year story arc or a 10-year story arc, then it'll happen. But if you're only inspired to do a 2-year story arc, then do what the British do and just make it 2 seasons and that's it. And move on to something else.
I love the idea of just making, like Avatar The Last Airbender, 4 seasons and then it was done. And they made Korra and they made other stuff, but they stopped. The story ended and they just stopped telling it. Excellent idea.
Great.
That's totally
absolutely
possible.
Yeah, very, very, very
like
true.
The Boys just wrapped up and they probably could have ended. Like
do not spoil it for me. I haven't seen the ending. I'm watching the first season. Yeah. But I mean, they have arcs for these things. They had a plan. Eric Kripke, though, when he did Supernatural before The Boys, he had a 5-year plan. Sam or Dean or whatever fell into hell, and that was it. That was the end of the show. But then they turned around and said, no, do a 6. And of course, it went on for another 10 years. And everyone, someone else had to step in and actually plan for this sort of thing. Stargate was another Stargate SG-1. They had a certain plan. They had a number of seasons planned. And sure enough, they fucked it up by continuing on. Next thing you know, the last season was fucking King Arthur or something stupid. It's just...
Once I stopped liking a show, I just stopped watching, and nothing after that point exists in my mind.
I just
live peacefully with the part I liked, and I move on.
Yeah, I will not spoil the end of The Boys, but I will say it did feel like they ran into budget constraints. And I think a lot of shows do that, like where they have a plan, they want to do something big, but it fizzles out because of budget constraints, or like something goes wrong and they have to think on their feet. That happens so much during production.
Oh, it
It's
does.
just like, you have to pivot and change. And I'm not the only one that noticed that. I went
Yeah,
on
and
Reddit
that
afterwards.
becomes business decision instead of a creative decision. And when
Yeah.
a creative person has very little control over those business decisions usually.
Yeah.
So, you just try to go in with your best intentions and your biggest idea, and it lasts as long as the business decisions let it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have a 5-year story arc and you don't get past season 1 because not enough people watched it, or you had to compromise in some way.
Well, I think a lot of our listeners are people who just want to put out like little 1, 2, 3 minute things on YouTube, on TikTok. And
it's almost more important that you
one
finished than
is more important
Yeah.
than like when you're at Scott's point of view, when he's got all this experience, like you've been gaining experience all these years, and so now you can take on the scope of like a big multi-season thing. That's like within your wheelhouse. But for some people, they've never written a script about anything, not a 2 minute, not a 1 minute, not a nothing. So like before you get too tangled up in all that kind of stuff, if you can keep your scope kind of small and give yourself a little environment to play with, like especially if you're drawing it. If you're drawing it, try and keep the 3 backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like if you're just an indie person, because don't be doing the big boy stuff. Scott's on a different different level of execution.
I tend to think it's even if you don't actually produce the materials to kind of extend something, plan that at some point you're not going to just do one and done 3-minute little shorts on YouTube. If you're planning to do this for a career,
what if that's your favorite thing?
Well, then that's fine. But if any of them out there are actually want to do this sort of thing for a career creation, long-term, larger scope, keep a little bit more, keep your vest close and your cards hidden kind of idea, so that you can actually step aside from the limitations of the one and done and kind of look a little bit forward. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend 6 months planning for season 2 or whatever else like that. It just simply means that have an open mind enough to kind of consider, what if the most horrific thing happens? You become successful. What if somebody comes along and asks you for more? That's actually in some cases worse than simply saying, wow, great, nobody watched it. Okay, it's done.
Okay, in that situation, I'd say the best thing to do would be, you have a big idea, you write out as much of the big idea as you want. You pick one scene from that entire big idea, 1 3-minute scene from that entire big idea that for you sums it all up. You produce that on your own.
That's a fair point.
If you do that well, that hints at this this bigger world, and people watch that thing and I want more of that, you'll succeed.
That's a teaser. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's certainly a very good point. That's a good point. I mean, is your story part of something bigger? Because if you look at any movie out there, they often have little teasers, little segments, little previews that are actually just a chunk of the movie. There's some movies out there that have actually produced. I was going to say, there's some movies out there have actually produced trailers that actually have scenes in it that have nothing to do with the movie, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a pencil test for a movie the other day. What was it? Somebody like hand animated Jack Black, like a real master. And they just put out like, 10 seconds of hand drawn character animation. Amazing.
Sorry, Brian.
I was just gonna say, and if that 3 minutes is a really simple, like it's simplistic and it's in what it's what it's doing. It's not a car chase, it's not a big fight out scene. It's a simple scene to shoot, but it tells you volumes of information. That's a sign of a good filmmaker. Someone who can take one small moment and turn it into something really inspiring to see something bigger in it.
I have a good challenge for people who are interested in world building. Create a little scene where you walk through an environment and there's no characters or anything happening, but you can tell a story by what's placed around the environment, like what's been left out on the table, right? Like if the water running, is the stove on?
Yeah.
And there's nobody home.
Is there a big knife?
is there a hole in the floor and blood on the walls?
Yeah, Jello.
I was listening to a podcast recently. I can't remember who it was, but I remember the discussion about Japanese filmmaking, specifically Akira Kurosawa kind of person who's made films. And Seven Samurai, for instance, there's a scene in it where just before the big final battle, all you see is rain falling into various places around the village. So into a bucket, onto the streets, onto somebody's the brim of their hat or something like that. A very calm moment before this big fight scene. And the whole discussion was about how you can use something that seems that, in, let's say modern Hollywood action movies, nobody would do anymore. It's like, wall-to-wall action, please give me wall-to-wall action for 2 hours straight. But you can use that moment to make the moment that comes after it even more impactful.
Contrast.
And I like that idea that you can, with something very little, you can show a lot. You can emote a lot. You can make an audience feel a lot with something very, very small.
You just have like a sad little lonely dog, and then the door opens and the sun shines in, and he runs out into the flower field.
Then he cuts a guy in half with a samurai sword.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Contrast.
Bad dog.
If you guys make that, please link us because I want to see it.
Just don't do. If you know who this is, John Woo, just don't friggin' slow-mo everything. Good Lord. Or M. Night. Don't put a twist at the end of everything.
You don't need to impress Scott. You can impress yourself, my love. If you like slow motion, my son, you turn it up as slow as you want.
It's because something works once doesn't mean you have to use it everywhere.
I love that guy. It's all down to personal taste.
Yeah, everybody likes different things, and that's okay.
Try to please everybody, you're not going to please anybody.
You won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to move forward. You'll be seized up with stress and anxiety and fear, and you'll hide in a little cardboard box and cry.
I'm just simply saying, find more than one trick. That's all. Simple as that. Very simple.
That box gets smaller and smaller every time.
We are humans. We have the capacity to learn more than one thing.
True.
Except for Tracy.
Yeah, I don't know anything. This went really well.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It's good.
We stayed within the ballpark of a topic.
Yeah, I think this is our best one yet.
Which ballpark?
We're going
is
around
it Fenway?
like the moon. No, it's like the Earth around the sun at this point. Someday we're gonna land on the sun. We're all gonna burn.
We're gonna land on the sun.
We're gonna succeed.
You just cut us down by the knees there again. Jesus.
Gonna burn up.
Believe it. No, because we're gonna rise like the Phoenix.
Ah. Did you ever read that Superman comic where he ends up in the sun at the end?
No.
He's like
that's
fixing it.
Superman comic. Okay. There's how many Superman comics out there? And you had to ask about that one comic.
Superman
you see the one where he puts
character
the planet out of the orbit? That was really dumb.
I can't get into Superman because he's impervious to everything. So every single Superman story, he's impervious to everything. Magic rock, old man hits him with a cane, he overcomes with gumption, and he succeeds. I'm like, I already know what's going to happen in every single Superman story.
There was a fun one that was made. I think it's called All-Star Superman, and he flies a little too close to the sun. He gets sick, and he finds out like, oh man, my cells are dying. I only have like so much longer to live. So then he finds out he has to complete 12 Herculean tasks before he dies, and they just get more and more insane as he goes along. Like it's really fun, like it's super fun. And he like he arm wrestles like ancient gods, and then he like he goes like back in time and talks to himself somehow, and he's doing all kinds of weird stuff. He ends up on Bizarro World, which is super fun. Bizarro World's always hard to read.
Nice. Yeah. No.
It was a great
back in the old days. You used to jump over a single building and call it a day. Run faster than a locomotive.
He wasn't a very good superhero back then. They were like, "Help me, Superman." He's like, "Watch this."
What year did Superman go to shit, Scott?
That I don't know.
I
don't know. No. Superman, I have to admit, I mean, someone pointed out one time that the reason there's a difference between Marvel and DC is that Marvel writes about regular people who become gods, and DC writes about gods who act like regular people. And I always thought that was a very interesting take on the way superheroes are portrayed. I mean, the Boys, as we mentioned, is about, you know, the gods run amok and being, you know, giving into their base desires and everything else like that. And I find that as soon as you elevate something so far, it's like the lives of these billionaires in some of these TV shows. I can't relate, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sort of like, and if I can't relate, then I have zero interest in it.
Yeah, I thought Rich was having fruit at home.
Yeah.
Stan Lee would rewrite the dialogue from the artists and all that. He would do the Marvel method was like Stan Lee would go in and be like, I need a Hulk comic where he like has to go to, I don't know, he has to go to the woods for some reason, make it work. And the artist would actually write it and draw it at the same time. And then Stan Lee would come in, he'd look at the dialogue and be like, this isn't hip. And he'd like change all the language to make it all hip catty. Like, you know, like, hey, Tiger, how's it going? Well, it's me, Excelsior, and stuff like that. And, which everybody sounded like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that. If anyone asks, no, I don't remember that.
You got a cigar as soon as you came out of the womb.
What's up, Pockets?
Yeah, I had heard an interpretation of Superman where it was like, what makes him different is that his real identity is Kal-El, is Superman.
Yeah.
His fake identity is Clark Kent.
That's the costume that he wears.
Yeah,
he's doing a human
impersonation. The human impersonation is, and his what's at jeopardy for him is not him; it's everyone around him that he cares about.
Yeah,
that's what's actually at jeopardy for him.
That makes sense. I like it.
Batman's a guy who his parents were murdered, so he decides to dress up like a rodent and like run around.
A flying rodent.
Flying rodent. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why use all that money for like good cause when you can just buy like pimp out a Batcave?
Pimp out a Batcave and beat the crap out of the poor.
Yeah, just punch people.
Just like, are you stealing bread?
We've all dreamt of being a vigilante. Don't lie.
There's a scene apparently in what was it? Civil War, Captain America: Civil War, and where they have Spider-Man shows up, and of course, Black Panther and Spider-Man and Captain America getting their ass kicked by Bucky, who has got the super arm and everything else like that, and they're pretty strong guys. Like, I mean, they can bench 700-800 pounds, no problem. And then Spider-Man just kind of grabs the guy's fist and just kind of goes, oh, that's interesting, because then you realize that Spider-Man pushing 10 tons around is like whatever, you know. And then you have this
Bucky, what else can that super arm do?
Well, that's just it. It's just like all of a sudden you have this logarithmic power scale that goes from one hero to the other, and it just gets out of control very quickly.
Is it One Punch Man that has the guy that just like cycles to the incident and helps clean up?
I think so. One Punch Man was hilarious.
It just,
I like the idea of like that tiered power structure. Like, you know, Daredevil and Storm live in the same, you know, and there's worse than that. Like,
and shit like that.
But you got to think of like the level one. Actually, I saw a pitch that was really good once where it was like the people who clean up after. And it was just them bitching about goddamn fucking rubble everywhere. They're just smashing all the buildings and just don't even care.
Yeah.
Just the guy putting up like his final thing on his window or
isn't that what
he's like, smash.
Isn't that what one of the Spider-Mans is about?
Which one?
One of the Spider-Mans, I can't remember which Spider-Man is about all the people who are pissed off with Tony Stark and all the superheroes for wrecking and killing everyone in New York City.
The city's get wrecked every time, like the death toll. Like, bring him outside the city, guys. Like,
they just trash New York. And what does he do? Go for a shawarma. Jesus, what kind of a douchebag? Probably didn't even tip.
I do love a shawarma.
Yeah.
Sucker for a
Those
shawarma.
shawarma workers were like going through PTSD.
They had to go and they had to go make a shawarma just because the freaking.
Can you imagine the only restaurant that's like open, like everything else is rubble, and you got to go into work that day, and you're like, love of God.
Yeah, dead bodies everywhere. You're just shaking.
You're shambling to work. I can't lose this job, guys.
Yeah, rent's due.
Yeah,
but,
there's
oh my
something
God.
going on.
And
there.
I'm
That's-
hucking falafel in the fucking apocalypse. God damn it.
You wrecked everything, man.
Anyway,
Writes itself.
all right, sum up. So, world building. We have the actual, minutia and everything else
Think
like
of
that.
the world.
Think of the
Build
world,
it.
but try to make it, as Brian says, have certainly a logic. Your characters, give them some motivations. Give
Put them on
something
that
there.
world. Make
Put
them
them on
do
that
stuff.
world, but make them part of it.
Yeah,
don't
give
don't
them a
just
map.
Give yourself limitations.
give yourself limitations in terms of scope,
time frame.
but don't limit yourself, because there is always the possibility that you may succeed. That's the worst thing in some ways. It's probably worse than failure
Never
in some
plan
ways.
for
Nope,
success.
it isn't.
Well,
Nobody sitting around failed is sobbing over somebody
Well,
who
it's-
succeeded
it's a
too much
whole
and it's
different-
rolling in money, and they can get DoorDash to their house while they're working. Like,
yeah,
luxury.
well, yeah,
Let that horror befall all of us.
yeah. That's
I hope y'all
true.
got too much money. I hope you got too many viewers. You
No.
got too many sponsors. I hope you
Just
got too
Remember,
much
if you
success.
succeed at what you're doing, you will have
And-
to work 10 times as hard to
And
continue.
make it interesting. Whatever it is, make it interesting.
That's
Even
true.
If it's just
Use your own
like to
voice.
quote-
Use
I'd
your
like
own
to
voice.
quote Billy Shakespeare, a little writer named Billy Shakespeare.
Billy Shakespeare.
To thine own self be true.
Very deep.
Do what
Very
you got to
deep.
do. Be
Okay.
true to yourself.
Okay.
Make what you
I'm
want
gonna
to
go
make.
get more lemonade.
Life's too short to worry about lemonade. I mean, what?
No. It's always time for lemonade, man.
I got lemonade
Especially
too.
if there's vodka in it.
I got
Anyway,
pink lemonade.
there you go.
See
All
ya.
right, guys. Take care. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
That went amazing.
That went really well, right?
That's so good.
We did it.
Minimal fighting.
Beautiful.
That's just like his default setting.
He's ready to fight. We just make fun of him.
Well, the problem is I love a good fight, but I gotta restrain myself. One of us does, or else we get nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Are you at Cartoon Conrad right now, Joe?
Yeah, I got a bit of work, so and
Nice.
I'm doing my black belt test.
Nice.
And I did the promo. Man, I killed myself this week. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I need to pace
That's good.
myself.
Keep him busy. It's a good thing.
Mhm.
Any word from them on work?
There's like hints and tips and like maybes and stuff, but
Nah, nothing solid.
no.
That sucks.
Trust me, I'll be leaning on you as a recommendation. Dream team.
Let's do it.
Yeah, the thing I'm doing now, it's like all this motion graphics. It's like 888 frames of like dense effects and motion graphics. So I'm gonna have to like crack it all up into different things and render out PNG sequences and then re-import all the PNG sequences and like comp it.
Oh
and
my
like
god.
separate. And I'm just like, that's fine. And I spent, I'm not even kidding, 40 hours minimum building all these like assets of like illustrations and stuff to like fill out all the motion graphics. And they're like, can we just like scan the books? And it's like, well, there's copyright issues. And they're like, let's just see if we can get the copyright. So now they're going to go see if they can get the copyright for just scanning the books I've been kind of like spoofing without copying. And if they get it, then we can just throw all that in the trash.
That's so much tedium.
Yeah, it was so funny. He's like, yeah, because the director messaged me. He's like, so, and I was like, that's just the universe reminding me it's a joke, man.
Yeah. We're just being toyed with.
I felt this like sense of comfort, just knowing that nothing, like everything changes, but nothing changes at the same time.
Yeah. It's all par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun.
Have you made any comics?
I did a bunch of thumbnails. I got a bunch of stuff scanned. I started doing some character sketches. Moving forward.
It's moving forward.
I don't know, like I don't have any solid plan in place. I'm just making shit. So
Well, luckily you can think about world building now that we've given you all the tips and tricks. Listen, if you're not thinking 8 seasons ahead though, what are you fucking doing? And to suggest I do anything else is disparaging me.
Yeah, you don't have to think that far ahead.
No. It's cool. Make a little thing. Actually,
one sip at a time.
Follow Runello and see what just a little 1 minute cute thing with a little contraption doodle daddle. Adorable. You don't need.
He's a fan of Dune, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Herbert, he had that first. I think he had the first couple books planned out, but after that, he had no plan. He just did shit. So it's like, but you're a fan of Dune.
They'll be like, but Dune was written on page 736. Good. He doesn't watch these. It's fine.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.